The movie begins with 4 astronauts collecting rock samples from the surface of Mars. While they are outside the spacecraft, their colleague inside warns them of an approaching massive sandstorm, worse than they had anticipated. A team aboard a spacecraft debates whether to remain on Mars during a storm or return to Earth. The majority favors staying, but Commander Melissa orders a return to Earth. During pre-launch preparations, a storm damages the spacecraft, injuring crew member Mark and destroying his communication device. The crew is unable to find him before being forced to launch to avoid destruction. Commander Melissa attempts a solo search but must return to the spacecraft, leaving Mark behind. The crew believes Mark is dead. NASA's Mars mission was successful, and the spacecraft is returning to Earth. However, one crew member died during the mission. A press conference announcing this was held by Executive Director Teddy. Mark awakens on Mars, partially buried and critically injured. He returns to base, removes some debris from his body, but leaves a metallic piece embedded to maintain suit pressure. He treats his wounds and records a video explaining the accident, the communication device failure, and his understanding of his team's actions. Mark, stranded on Mars, discovers his supplies will last only 1 year, while rescue is 4 years away. He finds and cultivates leftover potatoes, using Martian soil and considering human waste as fertilizer to survive. Mark opens the soil and cries as he realizes he does not have enough water to irrigate the plants as needed. He decides to find a way to produce more water and comes up with the idea of creating a device that can generate water using gas produced from burning chemicals. After several days, the interior walls of the artificial garden are covered in water vapor, and the plants begin to grow gradually. NASA holds a memorial service for Mark, presumed dead. Director Teddy rejects a proposed Mars return mission to retrieve abandoned equipment, fearing negative public reaction to the discovery of Mark's body. Vincent suggests framing a retrieval mission as recovering Mark's remains for his family, citing the lack of decomposition on Mars. Mandy, a satellite supervisor, detects Mark's location and base activity on Mars. She informs the director, leading them to believe Mark is alive. Facing a 24-hour broadcast deadline, they plan a press conference to announce Mark's survival and their commitment to his rescue. Mark, on Mars, plans a 3,200-kilometer journey to a mission location requiring approximately 50 days of travel at 35 kilometers per hour. He modifies his rover to double its battery life, necessitating the disabling of the heating system. To survive the cold, Mark plans to use geothermal heat from digging into the Martian ground. NASA announced Mark's survival and plans to rendezvous with him on an upcoming Mars mission. The mission's arrival time is now estimated at 9 months, prompting a rapid response to reach Mark before any unforeseen events occur. Mark's returning team will not be informed to avoid distraction during their journey home. Mark harvested 400 potatoes, replanting the smaller ones. He found the Mars Pathfinder and contacted NASA, initially only able to control the camera. Mark developed a hexadecimal communication system, enabling more complex messages. NASA then guided Mark to hack the spacecraft for direct communication. Vincent contacted Mark to share their rescue plan, bringing Mark comfort. Mark learned that NASA hadn't told his team he was alive, causing him sadness. Vincent subsequently informed the team, who then received confirmation of Mark's survival and the rescue mission via email and a NASA recording. Mark's calculations show that existing food supplies and his potato crop will sustain him until NASA's rescue arrives. He believes he will be all right if there are no unforeseen problems. Mark's garden's external entrance exploded, damaging his helmet, which he repaired with duct tape. The Martian atmosphere damaged his potato plants and radio. He contacted NASA, requesting expedited rescue due to dwindling food supplies. Mark's team contacted him with NASA's permission, resulting in positive interactions. Mark cleaned the habitat. NASA considered skipping a spacecraft inspection to save time, but the spacecraft exploded upon launch. NASA, informed of its spacecraft launch by the Chinese Space Agency, develops a faster rescue plan for Mark, aided by physicist Rich. This plan involves Hermes, Mark's team's spacecraft, orbiting Earth to gather supplies before returning to Mars for the rescue. A rescue plan for Mark will extend the Hermes mission by 500 days, a decision Director Teddy opposes due to crew safety concerns. The plan's details are kept secret, and the crew, aware of defying NASA, votes to proceed despite the extended mission and separation from their families. They subsequently contact their families to inform them of the delay. Hermes deviated from its planned trajectory, requiring Mark to collect survival gear, including oxygen and heating devices, for the Mars rendezvous. Earth-based modifications equipped Hermes with supplies and food. The spacecraft utilized Earth's gravity for a fuel-efficient space boost. Mark, after 7 months, is preparing to meet the Hermes spacecraft. He's loading equipment, including solar panels, into his rover for independent charging. Then NASA urges him to proceed swiftly to the rendezvous point. Mark lightened the rover by removing non-essential equipment, retaining only what 6 crew members needed, leaving himself with minimal supplies. He was instructed to replace parts of the spacecraft with a parachute and remove all control panels due to remote control by Hermes. Mark prepares for liftoff by shaving, changing clothes, and donning his spacesuit. His team warns him of potential unconsciousness during launch. The spacecraft launches, but the front parachute is lost, and Mark loses consciousness. Mark regains consciousness, and his team tells him they will not be able to bring their spacecraft any closer to Mars. Commander Melissa suggests that one of the crew members create a small bomb and attach it to the back of the spacecraft to slow it down, giving them a better chance to rescue Mark. Melissa attempts to reach Mark's spacecraft, but her tether is too short. Mark then propels himself to Melissa using his spacesuit's air pressure. They reunite and return to the Hermes, informing NASA of their successful rescue and impending return to Earth. On Earth years later, Mark teaches new NASA recruits about safety procedures and space preparedness. A new NASA space mission launches, and the team watches the liftoff on television with their families at home. The end. Subscribe for more movies like this. Thank you for watching.